It's official, John Reardon, the man who brought Detective Charlie Hudson to life in Hudson and Rex, is gone. Fired. Just like that. Fans are shocked, the internet is in chaos, and everyone is asking the same question. How could the show survive without him? After years of chasing criminals, sharing heartfelt moments with Rex, and becoming one of TV's most loved detectives, John's sudden exit feels like losing the very soul of the show. But what really happened behind the scenes? Why did this happen now, when the series was still winning hearts around the world? Let's dive into the story that no one saw coming. 4 years. Hudson and Rex has been more than just another crime series, it's been a comfort show for millions. At the heart of it all stood John Reardon, a talented actor who transformed the role of Detective Charlie Hudson into something unforgettable. Every episode showed a man who wasn't just solving crimes, he was building a bond with his loyal partner, Rex, that went beyond words. People didn't just watch the show for the mysteries or the action, they watched it because of the connection between Hudson and his dog. It was pure, emotional, and filled with warmth, something that reminded viewers of friendship, loyalty, and trust. John Reardon wasn't a typical TV detective. He brought a calm intelligence to the role, a mix of humor, charm, and compassion that made Hudson feel real. He could stare down danger one moment and melt hearts the next, simply by smiling at Rex or comforting a victim. Fans felt that authenticity. They saw a real man who carried the weight of his cases but never lost his humanity. That's what made him special. That's why his departure feels like a wound to the heart of the show. When Hudson and Rex first aired, not many expected it to become a global success. A show about a detective and a dog sounded simple, almost too simple for modern TV audiences. But John Reardon proved everyone wrong. His chemistry with Diesel von Bergenwald, the real-life dog who plays Rex, became the show's beating heart. Their teamwork, their silent understanding, their moments of joy and pain, it all felt genuine. And soon, viewers around the world were hooked. Through every season, John gave his all. He didn't just act, he lived the role. From chasing criminals through the streets of St. John's to those quiet, emotional scenes in the precinct, he made Hudson believable. Even the show's toughest critics admitted that without Reardon, Hudson and Rex wouldn't have the same spark. He became the show's identity. Every look, every line, every small smile toward Rex reminded audiences why they tuned in week after week. But behind the smiles and the success, things were changing. Quietly, slowly, some fans noticed John seemed more distant in the latest interviews. His social media posts grew shorter, more reserved. And then, whispers began, rumors that not all was well behind the cameras. People talked about creative differences, about tension between cast members, about long hours and production pressures. At first, it all seemed like the usual gossip that surrounds every TV hit. But now, looking back, maybe those whispers were signs of something deeper. Still, before all the noise, there was the legacy. John Reardon wasn't just the lead actor, he was the heartbeat of Hudson and Rex. He turned a simple TV show into a story about loyalty, courage, and friendship. His performances touched millions, from Canada to Europe. From families watching together to solo fans rewatching their favorite episodes late at night, his face became a symbol of honesty and justice. The kind of TV hero people believed in. That's why his firing doesn't feel like just another show business decision. It feels personal. It feels unfair. It feels like the end of something truly special, because Hudson and Rex without John Reardon isn't just missing its detective. It's missing its soul. It started like any other quiet morning. Fans were scrolling through their social feeds, expecting new behind-the-scenes pictures or maybe an update about the next season of Hudson and Rex. But instead, one post changed everything. A short, cold announcement, no long explanation. No farewell video, just a statement confirming that John Reardon was officially leaving the show. Within minutes, the internet exploded. The man who was the heart of the series was suddenly gone, fired, and nobody seemed to know why. At first, people thought it had to be a mistake. Some said it was fake news. Others assumed it was just a rumor blown out of proportion. But when multiple entertainment outlets began to report the same story, the shock turned into disbelief. Fans flooded the show's official accounts with comments, begging for answers. Memes, reaction videos, and emotional tributes began spreading like wildfire. For viewers who had followed the show from the very first episode, it felt like waking up to bad news about a close friend. The official statement from the network didn't help much. It was carefully worded, emotionless, and full of vague corporate phrases. Something about creative direction and evolving production needs. But everyone knew what that meant. When Hollywood says creative direction, it usually means someone behind the scenes didn't get along with someone else. And when fans read the word evolving, they knew it wasn't about growth, it was about replacement. The message was clear, even if the words were polite. John Reardon was out. What hurt the fans the most was the silence that followed. John himself didn't post anything for days. No goodbye message, no thank you note to fans, nothing, just silence. For a man who had always been kind and open with his followers, that silence felt heavy. It made people wonder, was he heartbroken, angry, or just shocked like everyone else? The absence of his voice made the mystery even deeper. Soon, theories began to form. Some insiders hinted that John had been unhappy with the new direction of the show. They said he wanted more meaningful stories, while the producers wanted lighter, faster-paced episodes to attract new viewers. Others whispered about contract negotiations that had fallen apart, or disagreements over filming schedules. There were even rumors of behind-the-scenes conflicts, arguments, long meetings, and creative frustration. None of it was confirmed, but the speculation grew stronger every day. And then there were the fans who refused to believe it at all. They started online petitions demanding John's return. Hashtags like #BringBackReardon and #SaveHudson and Rex trended for hours. People posted fan edits and emotional montages of his best scenes, calling him irreplaceable. Some even threatened to stop watching the show entirely if he didn't come back. It wasn't just fandom, it was a movement. The audience wasn't ready to let go of their detective. Meanwhile, entertainment blogs and gossip channels took over the story. Headlines screamed with words like fired, drama, and betrayal. Every small detail was magnified. A photo of John walking alone in St. John's became a headline about Reardon. Seen after his firing, a quiet, no comment from a crew member became tensions. Confirmed. It was as if the world had turned his exit into a full-blown mystery. Case one that no one could solve. Inside the production world, people began talking about how risky this move was. John Reardon wasn't just another actor, he was Hudson. His presence, his chemistry with Rex, his connection with fans, all of it was the foundation of the show. Losing him was like removing the anchor from a ship and hoping it would still float. Some insiders even questioned whether the show could continue at all. Could any new actor really stand next to Rex and make the audience believe in that same bond? Even those who worked with John over the years described him as kind, professional, and dedicated. Crew members said he always showed up early, always treated everyone with respect, and genuinely cared about the stories they told. To them, this wasn't just another cast change, it was a tragedy. One longtime crew member reportedly said, "The set feels empty without him. Even Rex seems confused." That single quote summed up how everyone felt. The news hit hardest because Hudson and Rex had never been about drama, not off-screen anyway. It was one of those rare shows that felt wholesome, family-friendly, and grounded in good energy. Seeing it now tangled in headlines about firing and controversy felt strange and sad. Fans who used to watch it for comfort now felt uneasy, wondering if they'd ever look at it the same way again. By the end of the week, one thing was clear: whether it was creative conflict, contract disputes, or something deeper, John Reardon's time as Detective Hudson was over. And though TV shows move on, audiences don't forget that his departure didn't just end a character's story. It ended a chapter in television that fans had grown to love. For now, the set lights of Hudson and Rex still shine, the scripts are still being written, and the cameras will keep rolling. But no matter what comes next, the echo of John Reardon's name will hang in the air. The man who gave everything to a role, only to have it taken away in silence. And for the fans, that silence says more than any statement ever could. The firing might have shocked the world, but for those who had been paying attention, there were cracks showing long before the news broke. It didn't happen overnight. The tension had been quietly building, hidden behind smiles, interviews, and polished press releases. Hudson and Rex was still shining on screen, but off camera, something was falling apart. Those who worked close to the production now whisper that the last few months had been different, colder, quieter, and filled with unspoken discomfort. John Reardon had always been known for his professionalism. He wasn't the type to make noise or chase attention. He showed up on time, treated the crew like family, and poured his heart into every scene. But lately, he had started keeping to himself. People noticed he stayed longer in his trailer. Some days, he avoided cast dinners or skipped after filming hangouts. What had once been a lively close-knit team slowly began to feel like two sides of a wall. John on one, the production heads on the other. Whispers of creative disagreement began to circulate, but no one could confirm what the real issue was. Some insiders claim John was unhappy with how his character was being written in the latest season. Hudson, once a sharp and thoughtful detective, was being pushed into lighter, almost comedic storylines. The emotional depth that had made fans fall in love with the show was fading, replaced by predictable plots and overused jokes. John, being a trained actor who cared about storytelling, reportedly wanted more emotional weight, more truth, but that didn't sit well with certain producers who were chasing ratings. There were also rumors about scheduling conflicts. Hudson and Rex filmed on tight deadlines, and long hours were the norm. But as seasons went on, production demands increased, leaving little room for rest or creativity. Some say John began pushing back, asking for a more balanced schedule to maintain quality rather than quantity. Others claim he requested script changes to give the stories more meaning. But in the fast-paced world of television, standing up for quality sometimes looks like rebellion. Tensions peaked, according to a few crew members. During one particular week of filming, a scene that was meant to be one of the most emotional in the new season, sources say John disagreed with the rewritten script and tried to talk to the director about adjusting a few lines. But instead of collaboration, it turned into confrontation. Voices were raised. The atmosphere on set turned icy. From that day forward, things were never quite the same. The show moved on, but the warmth between the star and the production team was gone. Then came the quiet meetings. Executives flying in for creative discussions. Writers being told to adjust future scripts. Crew members noticing sudden changes in shooting schedules. Little by little, the storm was building, even if no one could see it yet. And then, just like that, it happened. The decision was made. The lead actor, the face of the series, was out. Not a gradual phase-out, not a heartfelt farewell, but a clean, silent cut. Some say the decision wasn't unanimous. A few senior members of the crew reportedly fought to keep John, arguing that the show couldn't survive without him. But business won over loyalty. The official reason given was a change in direction. The unofficial truth, whispered behind closed doors, was much more human pride, pressure, and creative control. Behind the curtain of television lies a world few ever see, a mix of art and politics, passion and profit. What happened with John Reardon wasn't just a firing. It was a clash between vision and authority. He wanted to tell deeper stories, to keep Hudson human. The producers wanted faster scripts, bigger marketing, and higher numbers. Somewhere in the middle of that tug-of-war, the heart of Hudson and Rex got lost. Some of the crew have quietly said that even Rex, the loyal dog who plays his on-screen partner, seemed to sense something was wrong. On set, the bond between them had always been natural, but during those last few episodes, John seemed more emotional around Rex, often hugging him longer after takes, as if he knew it would be their last. After his final scene, there was no grand farewell, no big wrap party, just a quiet moment, a few quick goodbyes, and then the man who gave life to Detective Hudson walked off the set. The silence afterward was deafening. Crew members later described the atmosphere as hollow, like the air itself had lost its warmth. The showrunners have since tried to move forward, bringing in new energy and promising fans exciting surprises. But behind the confident smiles of promotional interviews, even they must feel the weight of what's been lost. Because no matter how many new faces they introduce, or how many scripts they write, they can't replace the spark that came naturally between John and Rex. In every industry, there are untold stories, ones that never make it into official statements, and this, perhaps, is one of them. The story of a man who cared too much about his craft, who fought quietly for truth in fiction, and who was let go, not because he failed, but because he refused to settle. Fans may never know the full truth, but they feel it. They see it in the emptiness that lingers in the new trailers, in the awkward silence when Hudson's name is mentioned. The cameras might keep rolling, but the heart behind them, that deep human passion John Reardon brought, has already faded. And maybe, just maybe, that's the part of the story the world wasn't supposed to see. When the news finally settled, the silence of the studio was replaced by the noise of the internet. Fans weren't just reacting, they were roaring. Within hours, social media turned into a storm of heartbreak, confusion, and anger. Everywhere you looked, timelines were flooded with emotional posts, fan art, and desperate pleas for answers. People who had followed Hudson and Rex since day one couldn't believe that the man who was Detective Charlie Hudson had been written off like this. It didn't feel like a normal TV cast change, it felt personal. For years, John Reardon had been more than an actor. He was part of people's daily routines, someone they welcomed into their homes each week. Families watched him after dinner. Kids admired him for his kindness toward Rex. and older fans saw in him a sense of quiet strength that's rare on TV. Losing him was like losing a friend who had been there through the good and bad days. And that's why the reaction wasn't just sadness, it was outrage mixed with grief. Within days, hashtags like #JusticeForReardon, #BringBackHudson, and #HudsonandRexForever were trending in multiple countries. Fans shared long emotional posts about what the show meant to them. Some even recorded videos crying while holding their dogs, saying, "We watched for the bond, not just the cases." Pet owners especially felt connected. To them, Hudson and Rex wasn't just entertainment, it was a reminder of the love between humans and animals. Without Reardon, that magic seemed to fade. Fan forums became like investigative units of their own. People began analyzing interviews, behind-the-scenes photos, and old clips for signs that John had been unhappy. Some dug into production credits, pointing out sudden changes in producers or writers. Others found interviews where John had subtly mentioned creative shifts and new directions. These hints, once harmless, now felt like hidden warnings that something big was coming. But the heartbreak wasn't only online. At fan events, meets, and comic conventions, conversations turned emotional. People hugged each other, saying how much the show helped them through tough times. One fan wrote on Twitter, "I used to watch Hudson and Rex with my dad every week before he passed. It was our thing. Without John, it doesn't feel the same." Comments like that showed how deeply this series had become part of people's lives. The network, meanwhile, tried to calm the storm. They released more statements, promising that the spirit of the show would live on. They announced that new storylines were being developed and teased a fresh dynamic with Rex, but those words only fueled more anger. Fans didn't want a fresh dynamic. They wanted Hudson. They wanted the man who made the show feel real. Too many, the idea of continuing without him felt like betrayal, a soulless attempt to keep the brand alive while the heart was gone. Even critics who had once dismissed the show began to speak up. Entertainment writers noted that John's departure might signal the beginning of the end. One article bluntly stated, "Hudson and Rex without Reardon is like Sherlock without Holmes." Others speculated that the network had underestimated just how much fans loved him. In a world where audiences are quick to move on, Hudson and Rex had built something rare, loyalty. And now, that loyalty was turning into resistance. Despite all the anger, though, there was also a deep sadness. The final episode featuring John aired, like a farewell that no one wanted. Fans rewatched it again and again, catching small moments, a smile, a glance at Rex, a tone in his voice, and wondered if he knew it was his last. The episode's final scene, where Hudson and Rex walk off into the distance, suddenly carried a heavier meaning. It wasn't just another case closed. It was a goodbye that fans never got to prepare for. But time moves differently in the world of television. While the audience was still mourning, the producers were already planning the next step. Casting rumors began to surface. A new detective, younger and more energetic, was reportedly being brought in. Some fans refused to even read the news. Others vowed to give it a chance, but only for Rex. The dog, after all, had become a symbol of loyalty, and fans felt loyal to him, even if they couldn't forgive the people who made this decision. Meanwhile, John Reardon remained silent for weeks. No interviews, no comments. And then, one quiet evening, he posted a single picture on his Instagram, a photo of the ocean with the caption, "Every chapter has an ending." No anger, no bitterness, just a calm acceptance that hit fans harder than any long statement ever could. The comments section flooded instantly. Thousands of hearts, broken emojis, and messages like, "We'll miss you, Detective Hudson." That one post was enough to confirm what everyone feared: he wasn't coming back. As time passes, Hudson and Rex continues to air, but something feels different. The heart isn't there. The show still looks the same, but the emotion, the depth, the bond, it's not what it used to be. Fans still watch, but mostly out of nostalgia, not excitement. They watch, hoping to feel that old spark again. The one that John Reardon brought with just a look, a smile, or a simple line delivered with sincerity. And that's the real story. Not just about an actor being fired, but about how one man's authenticity built a connection so strong that even after he's gone, his presence still lingers. Because in the end, it's not the contracts, ratings, or studio politics that make a show great, it's the heart behind it. And for Hudson and Rex, that heart was John Reardon. Maybe someday, the truth behind his departure will come out fully. Maybe one day he'll return, even for a brief moment, to give the fans the closure they deserve. But until then, his legacy lives on in every old episode. In every fan who still believes in that unbreakable bond between a detective and his loyal dog, and in every quiet reminder that some heroes never truly leave the story. They just step out of the frame.